Now, what in the carnival is going on here? So there was recently a scuffle, a scrap, a fight that took place on a recent carnival cruise. I do have the video clips of the incident I'm going to show you here in a second because in my opinion, I believe this does highlight a bigger issue with cruise lines such as Carnival within a certain demographic. Don't worry, it's not what you think because situations like this aren't exactly as black and white as you think it is. By the way, just a quick reminder before we sail into the video clip, I am hosting a group cruise between January 27th and January 30th of 2025 on board Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas. Is going to be an amazing time. We're planning events and I will be giving away at least 1 week-long free cruise of your choosing to the people that book on this group cruise. It's going to be exciting. It is not too late to put down your deposit. You have until October 2nd of 2024 or you can just pay outright in full. I hope to see all of you there. The link to book will be in the description box below as well as pinned in the comments.
In front of the children, that's what they have to
So, full transparency, there aren't a lot of details on this particular altercation. I tried to do some investigating, some digging, some research, if you will. However, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find the original post. It seems like it's possibly been deleted. And as far as the conversations, they are mostly pointless. People bringing up topics that are, in my opinion, completely irrelevant to what's taken place. But it does appear that there was some type of disagreement or something in terms of disrespect on board a newer Carnival cruise ship. I say this because it appears that all this went down at the Shebang restaurant. This is a Mexican Asian mix-up restaurant that's on Carnival's XL or Excellence class cruise ships, that of which being either the Carnival Mardi Gras, Celebration, or Jubilee. Now, in the video clip, you can see a woman that is clearly an agitator or aggressor in the altercation. You have a friend or a relative that's holding her back. She even got a little feisty and handsy with one of the security officers on board this Carnival cruise ship, which, by the way, is a surefire way to earn a quick ticket to being banned from ever sailing with a Carnival cruise ship ever again. Now, you have a lot of people highlighting what they believe is the problem as to why these situations keep happening on board Carnival cruise ships. Some people are pointing it out to race. Some people are pointing it out to financial status. I think personally it's much simpler than that. You have a lot of new and inexperienced cruisers that are jumping on this cruise ship that don't have any at-home training. Either that or they bring their mentality or their way of life that they have at home on board the cruise ship. Being honest with you, the fact does remain you do have these factors such as race, culture, financial status, all being an ingredient in the soup that does take place as far as altercations on not just Carnival cruise ships, but ships in general. You have people that think they're better than other people, but you have, in my opinion, once again, these first-timer and inexperienced cruisers that are not used to being around people that maybe don't come from where they come from or don't think like them. Couple that with the drink package, and naturally, it is a recipe for disaster. Let's look at it this way. If you were to ask most people that have been on a cruise what their first cruise line or a cruise ship that they ever sailed on was, because I certainly have, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say Carnival for whatever reason. Either they saw a commercial with Carnival Cruise Line, there was some hearsay that Carnival was the best line to sail with, or the first line that they should sail with if they want to get into cruising, because it's kind of like a starter pack line, which it is not. But they do have affordable prices, and naturally, as far as what people want, especially a mixed crowd in terms of maybe the food, the party, the experience overall, they're naturally going to go with Carnival, and depending on your opinion on other lines, they will either level up or start to change and try other lines along the way. This in turn would lead me to believe that you're going to have a decent percentage of people that are traveling on a cruise for the first time. They don't know how to handle the drink package. They don't know how to handle being around people around the world, or at at least in the United States, within it that are from different cultures, different upbringings, and just like that, somebody feels disrespected, or you have a lot of people that are naturally just a little more sensitive because they've spent potentially hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on their vacation. I always say it's kind of like a birthday. Everybody's sensitive on their birthday, and one little step out of line or something they're not used to and they feel disrespected, now we have a potential altercation. In all fairness, this situation could theoretically happen on any cruise ship, especially the cruise lines that offer economic options. Yes, your Carnival Cruise Line, your Margaritaville, even your MSC, which is something that we are, believe it or not, starting to see more of, with MSC having an influx of cruise ships starting to come to the United States market. And if you've seen their prices, they are pretty comparable to Carnival Cruise Line, and we've seen situations take place. The only reason that we don't hear about it as often on newer cruise ships, regardless of the line, is because you have a lot more experienced people that naturally, as they upgrade and get older in life and maybe start to gain higher financial status, or they just are more experienced with cruising, they are willing to pay more to go on these cruise ships. Thus, you have a situation where you have people that are so experienced at being around different people with different thought processes and different understandings that they just know how to have fun without causing an altercation or just not knowing how to handle their drinks as they enjoy their vacation. Also, to be straight up with you, we do have to address the cruise ship in the room. This is something I often mention with Carnival Cruise Line. Their PR is absolutely terrible. There is a culture on board Carnival Cruise Lines where people think that anything goes. They can bring drugs on board, they can get into a fight, they can do whatever on board this ship, because naturally for so long this is something that has taken place on board Carnival cruise ships. I don't technically blame Carnival, but unfortunately you do have to fight fire with fire. This is the digital world, and information and content is spreading like wildfire, and it happens very, very quickly. As somebody that does social media for a living, and I'm constantly researching what's going on with the lines and the altercations or upgrades and updates that are taking place with new ships and new announcements that are very exciting, Carnival, in terms of the image that they want to create by hiring influencers or just doing a little bit of promo work in terms of the environment they want to create, you don't see it as much as you would with a Royal Caribbean. Margaritaville is also stepping their game up in that department, and you also have MSC that's also doing pretty well, not to mention, of course, the other lines. Carnival, on the other hand, I do believe they need to step it up as far as creating that vibe, that image, that culture that they want on board their cruise ships. I do sail with Carnival a lot. They are undoubtedly one of my favorite lines. I also make a lot of content on both ends when it comes to Carnival. Either somebody is saying I'm showing favoritism to Carnival, or I am a Carnival hater, but the fact remains I do believe that in terms of what Carnival is promoting in terms of the vibe and the culture, they do need to regulate that and figure out what they're going to do in that department. Otherwise, we're going to keep seeing these situations happen again and again and again. It is a little disappointing, in my opinion, to see that summertime is over and we're still seeing these issues take place. Nevertheless, cruising doesn't really have an ending season. This is essentially the small break that we're going to have before holiday season starts to kind of pick up a little bit. But the fact that this took place on a newer Carnival cruise ship is also disappointing to me, because whenever I recommend cruises to people and they want a fun environment where they can party, and maybe, yeah, they want a little bit of ratchetness going on, a little bit of people on board that don't really care too much and they're just kind of showing out and having a good time, I always recommend a newer Carnival cruise ship. But with stuff like this going on, yes, it's extremely disheartening and disappointing. Anyway, that's today's TED Talk. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think the solution is to alleviate or stop altogether these fights that are happening on board Carnival cruise ships? A common solution I often hear is people saying that Carnival just needs to go ahead and jack the prices up, raise the prices, that way we keep the riffraff off. Do you think that's a legitimate solution, or do you have a better one? Let me know your thoughts. Once again, guys, hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. Take it easy.